It's Saturday night, and it's the Crafty Boys Saturday night beer party. So welcome,
I don't
everyone.
Audience loaded up.
Oh, sorry. Okay, hang on. Okay, I'll pause.
To have a studio audience, so
okay. I was gonna say you could prep the audience right now if you wanted to, but you don't have
no,
to.
that's all right. The audience is at home where they're supposed to be.
Yeah, I gotta say that there were many people on Facebook today, people that I know that were trying to publicly shame people who weren't doing what they felt was important, or sorry, was not important. was the sorry appropriate? They weren't appropriately doing what social distancing. Thank you. That's what I was trying to pull out of my brain.
Okay, so that brings up this whole thing. Okay, it's like public shaming. Now, this has been something that's bothered me for a long time, and it's gotten the advent of social media, and the whole thing. Keyboard warriors, armchair critics out there.
Keyboard warriors, armchair critics. Tonight, under the Thunderdome. Sorry. That was just all. That kind of jived for me. You know, all those things layered in.
Now they have a way of getting out their stupid words to a mass audience. I mean, it's one thing to complain about things, you know, when you're sitting in the waiting room at the barber shop waiting for somebody to cut your greasy hair, but you could go now online and put out a tweet.
Sorry, cutting who's greasy hair? Shane's greasy hair, presumably, because it won't...
That's one of the reasons I was laughing. Yeah, I mean, check this out. I mean, this is getting pretty bad. I mean, you know, look at that long flowing hair that goes down past my nose now. It gets into my face. You know what's really stupid is that one of the things that made me upset today was I was outside in the dog park with the dogs, and my hair kept blowing in my face. And I was like, God, this is so frustrating. This is so annoying. And then YouTube popped into my head, and I'm just like, what am I complaining about?
You should go full long hair, like totally like Conan the Barbarian. That shit.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah. You got to do it.
Well, the big thing that I had with my hair is that the reason my hair is in my face. Normally, I get a haircut that's pretty short, you know, this kind of thing. And but the last time I went to the barber, I went just up here on Main Street, very cool little company, which I hope survives. I hope. You pay in cash. There is no credit or anything else. It's $20 for a haircut, and the guy was like, you know what? What do you want to do this time? And I'm like, you know, I always get the same things. Maybe I should try something different. He's like, all right, I gotcha. So he cut my hair, but he left everything on top really long, and he cut everything on the sides really short. And he told me I had to style it a certain way, and then he said, like, look, we're putting your natural part. Screw that. We're putting your part on the other side. So he cut everything really short, you know, to make the part work. So of course I have to like do stuff. But now, you know, it's been several months, and so this bloody hair on the top of my head is just right there. But so anyway, it's Saturday night, and we're still locked at home. How have you guys? What did you? Now, Locke, you were saying earlier your day on this particular Saturday was exciting.
It was a slow internet day. I feel like the amount of failures that I had with everything from Apple TV through phone apps through just slow response on emails, you know, all of it's telling me that the amount of usage is overburdening the system somewhat, which is what you would expect on any Easter, but this one being everybody social distancing and at home. And what do you do at home? Well, I think everybody's online, aren't they? And so yeah, it's been a highly unproductive, highly frustrating, nonsense day of fiddling with hard resets on things that you shouldn't normally have to hard reset.
Yeah, I mean, I think that YouTube, Netflix, I don't know if Amazon, but most likely have all stated that they're going to, their particular streaming services will be not serving out 4K. They're throttling their speeds so that when people are out there doing things, they're making it slower so that people can not flood the system as hard as they will or are. To be honest, I kind of am happy about it that they are doing those kinds of things, because when you're like me and you work online, and now everyone is working online, it evens things out. But let's go back to the very beginning of when we started. What are you drinking, Locke? I have no idea what beer you're on.
Yeah, so I'm not on beer at all. I had expected a delivery earlier today from.
Oh, it didn't show?
What?
It didn't show the beer you ordered like on Wednesday?
No. I got an email saying we apologize, but due to the circumstances of where we are, we're doing the best we can, but we are now telling you that you will receive your order on Tuesday. If you want to cancel your order, click here.
Oh, wow.
And so that was yesterday. I received that. Today I received one. So now it's gonna be Wednesday.
Oh, jeez, man. That is, of all people on this planet, you should not be suffering not getting your beer. I think that is totally unacceptable. Beer should be piped in by tanker truck and delivered directly into our mouths with large hoses that just come in through your window, and you just have a spigot on the end, and you just keep pouring until the tanker truck is empty. And it has to be filled with two types of beer. There has to be a dark and an IPA. Yeah, and that's what tanker trucks should be like. That I've declared. You heard it here first. The Crafty boys are declaring that all beer should be delivered by large vehicle.
What
are you drinking?
What I would like to see. I think right now the getting is good to get like one of those kegerators. Like a beer fridge that you put a keg in, and it's got like the tap system on. That's what everybody needs to get. And then you just get a keg, and the keg will last you like a day or something. But you can like order more. I was lying. It should last you more than a day.
Well, a kegerator, I mean, I think that they're just basically a small bar fridge. They've got, those things. Those things? What is the word I'm looking for? Those kegs inside of them, of course. And I don't know how. Locke, if somebody delivered a full-size keg to your place, how long would that beer last?
It depends on the beer. I think probably.
Okay, well, pretend it's the beer that you've always wanted.
Oh, I could make it last for a good little while, but I mean, is it possible to see it polished off and leaving? Yes, but that's not what I would be trying to do in a circumstance like this. I'd be trying to make it last.
Actually, that's a good point.
I do have small reserves of whiskey left, so
well, perfect then. That's how it is. But, what about?
But sorry, I'm a bit confused. So, Locke, you are completely locked down, like you cannot leave at all?
I could go to the liquor store, but I am trying not to do that because ultimately I'm trying to do the social distancing thing. And there is a way around. It is that you order it online, and it should work. It hasn't yet, but that's sort of where I am. Now this is much more irritating. So this is a good one. So for the first time ever, I've started using online banking. Now I loathe this concept. I hate it to pieces.
Right.
But under the circumstances, try not to go into the bank. Social distancing, right? So I figured, okay, I'm going to learn how to use online banking. So I paid my rent on the 1st with a paper check because that's what my landlord requires. I talked to her about direct deposit, but she doesn't do that because she's just not set up for it. So give her my check on the 1st. So it's now the 6th. And so I'm starting to figure out how this online banking thing works. And I'm thinking, well, I'm going to be most of my expenses are probably going to be I'm going to have to pay with credit card because I'm going to be doing stuff online a lot, right? So why don't I just move the remainder of my funds over onto my credit card? That way they're ready to use, right? So this is on the 6th. The check was deposited on the 4th. But for some reason, because online banking is instantaneous, and it was an internal in the Royal Bank's Visa, that's instantaneous. That happens just like that. The fact that the funds were earmarked on the 1st and deposited by, delivery on the 4th didn't show up on the 6th. So the Royal Bank paid themselves ahead of my rent. And now I've got a message from my landlady saying, "What, your check bounced, so I need you to give me a certified check with a $35 fee as soon as you can get it." Which means I have to go into the bank in order to get the certified check. See how that worked? But it's better because in advance of this, when I found out before my landlady talked to me, I saw that, oh gee, I look overdrawn. So I moved a bunch of funds back from the Visa back into my account, for which the Royal Bank charged me a cash advance fee. So I've been charged fees by both parties for their being unreasonable, and now I have to go into the bank, making an unnecessary trip in a pandemic to get a certified check. Nice.
Wow. That is impressive. Why do you use... sorry, you said the bank is Royal Bank, right?
Mm.
Why do you use Royal Bank?
Are you telling me that any other bank would have done things differently?
No, I'm not just asking why you chose it.
I've used Royal Bank, I don't know, most of my life.
Ah, okay.
I've used other banks too. I mean, at one point I had a Royal Bank account, Bank of Montreal account, and a TD Bank account. TD pissed me off, so I cut them loose. Bank of Montreal just became unwieldy, and so I went back to just using the Royal.
All right.
What bank do you use there, Alan?
I use Coast Capital.
Yeah, same. I did.
But I mean, are there any credit unions? Like, probably not Coast Capital, I would say.
Credit unions in Ontario? Sure, there are.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I voted last year for the expansion of Coast Capital because Coast Capital is. We voted so that they can now be a national credit union rather than just BC. So in theory, that leaves them open to finding something, that hopefully I could walk into a Coast Capital at some point in the future in Ontario.
Shane, what are you drinking?
Actually, I was talking, so I don't have any beer at the moment. I'm gonna go get some. I'll be right back, and guess it'll be. I don't know. I'm gonna surprise myself. I'll be right back.
Okay, Alan, what are you drinking?
I am drinking from Steamworks their Hazy Pale Ale.
Okay.
It is
pretty
5%.
Mighty hazy.
Yeah, 5% beer. Unfortunately, I don't have it in a clear glass, so I can't show you. It is pretty hazy. It's good. It's not like a hazy IPA. It's just a hazy pale ale. It doesn't really have
that citrus thing, or
pardon me.
Has it got that citrus thing going on? Or?
No, not really. I've had better, and I've certainly had worse. Yeah, it's all right. It's passable. But it's not like an IPA, right? It's not like a hazy IPA. That's where you would get that citrusy kind of flavor. This doesn't have that. It's just like unfiltered, you know, I don't know what, like a blue buck or something like that.
Gotcha. So, Shane?
The
Your turn.
beer I have this evening is Holland Some Mass from Red Truck Brewery.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
not a bad beer. It's quite good. It's not wicked smart, but or wicked smat, but it will
You know what?
do.
In these times right now, I mean, normally what we would do is we'd all try to go out and find the same beer and review it together. I mean, obviously this is going to be our new normal. We're just going to drink whatever we've got.
Yeah. It is something that we'll just have to get through, and we'll eventually, I don't know, it'll return to... I would like to say that it's going to return to normal anytime soon, but it's not. It's not gonna. Not anytime. When do you guys think this will end? And will be... The peanut gallery's like, what?
The difference between end and we're going to get a breather, I think,
Yeah.
Yes.
around about July.
Yes.
By September, I think we'll be back in lockdown. Is my sort of guess.
Yes.
Whoops.
And I kind of think.
Sorry.
I kind of think we'll see how next fall goes. But if next fall goes okay and big hit, great. If it's like the Spanish flu and it gets even worse, then we're probably fucked until this time next year.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could see this is just the first wave. I think we'll get a reprieve for the summer, and then in the fall we'll get our second wave. We might even get third and fourth and fifth waves, in the months and years ahead. So
Yeah.
we'll just have to see how it goes.
Mm.
Wait for that vaccine.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the other sort of big question is because one would hope that medical science today is significantly improved over what we had in 1918, but so one of the things that I'm under the understanding that Wuhan has identified antibodies that are highly effective. That doesn't translate into a vaccine. That's just they've found effective antibodies.
Yeah.
The process of getting to a vaccine, apparently, one of the differences what we're doing today with what they've done in the past is where in the past you would have a sequential approach to testing to ready a vaccine. Now some of these steps we're doing in parallel, so they're happening simultaneously.
Right.
Yeah.
So that speeds things up, but I don't know. Yet to be seen whether that works. Good in theory.
Yeah.
Well, it's supposed to be faster somehow. I mean, I'm not a medical professional, but it's supposed to be faster. It's supposed to be able to give us some sort of explosion of speed in order to get vaccines developed, but not. But again, yeah, not anytime soon.
So let me ask you guys something. Okay, when you're not working, and say you've watched every single thing that Netflix has to offer, what are you guys doing for fun? What are you doing to keep your sanity?
going through old media like cassettes and 3.25-inch floppy disks.
Wow.
Do
you have the technical means to go through those floppy disks? Like, do you have like a drive?
Most of, yeah, and so digitizing bits and pieces of stuff. Yeah. There are a few blind spots. Like, I can't do anything with mini discs. Don't have a mini disc player anymore. But
wow, you actually have stuff on mini disc.
Oh yeah,
that's impressive. That is impressive.
Yeah,
I remember when Shane had a zip drive.
Yeah. I've got some zips kicking around.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. I actually just last fall, like sometime like November-ish, I recycled my zip drive player or reader or disc, whatever the hell you want to call it. So yeah, and I recycle all the discs too.
Man, I would kill to have a 5.25-inch floppy drive right now and be able to pull out all my old 5.25-inch discs and load them.
5.25, yeah.
Or 3.5.
3.5, yeah.
I'd like to have both.
There are some days where I wish I still had my 720
and a working XT.
Really?
Yes, I would love to have like a monochrome XT and with like a 5.25-inch flop dual. It's got to have duals. And play like Sop with Camel or the Larry.
That's hilarious. You know? Sop with Camel. Now there's a game that I have not heard the name of for some time. I mean, the game that I was just thinking about yesterday or the day before was Cannon Fodder. Do you remember Cannon Fodder?
No, I don't. No, I've never heard of it.
Yeah, it was a Cannon Fodder was this game where you had this little squad of people and you had to get them from point A to point B and they could shoot and throw grenades. I don't remember if you could control whether they did shoot or toss grenades. I think you just kind of basically said, go here to this point and don't die. And
maybe I did play that.
Yeah, it was an ages and ages ago. And then a sequel came out. And this is probably... you know why I was thinking about it? Because you sent me that link to Abandonware.
Oh, yes.
Which
Battlefield 1942.
Yeah, and I sent you that link to the Galactic Conquest mod for it. Yeah. But, which is funny, it's really bizarre. A year or so ago, I actually got Battlefield 1942 for free off the Epic Game Store. They were giving it away.
Oh.
But are there any video games that you would like to revisit, Locke, of that era?
Oh, yeah. You just mentioned Battlefield 19. Myself, I was deeply fond of Wolfenstein Enemy Territory, which wasn't abandoned. It was never officially released, but it was cut loose on the world, and the amount of user-generated content was enormous, and they had crazy stuff like people trying to set up an Axis versus Allies version of basketball where you jump on trampolines to land your guys in the net to score points. I mean,
that's awesome.
Just craziest stuff. That one of my favorites was somebody had a map which was I can't remember, it was Joe's apartment or something like that, but basically it was taking the premise that your Axis and Allies guys were little plastic toy soldiers, and so you would have battles, climbing, giant staircases into, loft bedrooms and down into the kitchen, and you duke it out, through the vents, and you run around like mice and stuff. It was great.
I do recall playing, I think it was Battlefield, not Battlefield. What's the game? Nuts. What's it called? I want to say it was Day of Defeat or a game like that, but it was a modded game, and it was very much the. It might have even been like the original, the CS:GO game, the Counter-Strike. I think it might have been Counter-Strike, the original version, and it had maps like that where you were this tall and you were running around. In a bedroom or in a backyard or both, that kind of idea, because there were some larger maps, and we'd pick up your weaponry and you'd sniper rifles and things that would be quite prominent. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of that kind of stuff that I've played. And there's also, actually, I played a game a little while ago, not too long ago, that is Little Green Men. I think it's called Army Men, maybe not, I can't remember, but anyway, so it's there are games out there like that, which I kind of like. Especially when you had little tiny secrets and things, and if you had a great amount of detail, that actually made it even more interesting. So
yeah.
Are you not playing Enemy Territory at all anymore? Is it sort of dead?
I can't find a runnable version of it right now. I think maybe I need an emulator. I might want to do a deep dive on that, given that I've got some free time on my hands now. But yeah, this ports it. I imagine there's got to be some sort of either emulator or modded version that's being used so that you can play it with contemporary machines, because this is several generations ago, and as I say, I have the software kicking around, probably in an old folder, but I haven't been able to get it to run. So
there was a game that I used to play. God, when did I buy my PS3? 2010? No, it was before that. 2009, 2008, and that's in 2006, 2007, somewhere in there.
You bought yours not long after I bought mine, and I bought mine. My oldest son was just like a couple years old or a few years old.
And I played a game called Scarface, which was made by a video game developer who's just over on the next sort of big street. But it was the premise was that Tony Montana survives the end of the film Scarface, and that's where the game sort of kicks off, where it's a few minutes, it's like right after he's fallen into the pond, or not the pond, the fountain that he has in his house, and he realizes he's still alive, and you have to like escape the mansion to get away from the whoever the hell was storming the castle, essentially. And then you get tossed into a swamp or something. You escape the place, and you escape. I guess it was in Florida, right? So you land in the swamp and you escape, and some minion of yours saves you and whatnot, and then sacrifices themselves. And so then you're basically on the streets of Miami again, or wherever the heck it took place. I can't remember, but and you basically try to rebuild your empire. I think the full title of the game is Scarface: The World Is Yours, or something. And I have to say, it is quite amusing to walk around with a voice actor who nails the Scarface imitation. Like he's got it down. So you're walking around, and this is kind of like pre GTA 3 or 4, but it's a kind of open world concept, and you're running around. You have to do missions to collect things and whatnot. But it is amusing to all hell, because you're walking along, and when you click the button to interact with other people on the street, if it's a dude, it's like, get out of my way, or cockroach, or whatever the line is. There's a whole bunch of them, and he's just completely just the worst misogynist ever. But it's amazing just to have a game that even exists, outside of films. But Yeah, I recommend it if you get it. I looked the other day. It is on the Abandonware, so you can actually download it and play it. But it was amazing.
What is this abandonware that you keep speaking of?
It's called abandonwaregames.net, and you can go there and you can download video games for different platforms, primarily PC, of course. But games that essentially have, the people who publish them. Their development cycles are way done, and they don't really sell them anymore.
Yeah.
So it's you can get really basic games from the '90s. I think some of the in the '80s, and even before them, because there's a whole bunch that are for different platforms, like the Amiga. Actually, is Questron in there? I never even thought to look.
Well, I was amazed. So I downloaded Battlefield 1942, and I was playing it. And actually, my kids were playing it too. And it was amazing how many people were actually in the servers playing.
Really?
Oh yeah, it was quite active.
Cool.
Wow, BC's Quest for Tires. There is no Questron though. It's too bad.
I had that on a cartridge for my Commodore 64.
Oh, really? I played it.
Really see on like the tire thing, and you just have to jump over logs.
Oh, here we go. Police Quest 2, Police Quest 3, Space Quest 1, 2, 3, and 4. Wow. Okay, I would actually play the Space Quest games again.
Yeah.
It has been a long time, but no Questron, which is too bad. Although. I think that the platforms they currently have are not. I don't think they have anything that was on the Mac side of things. But maybe not. Maybe there's something in here.
That was pre-Mac. That was Apple IIc.
Apple IIc, right. But yeah, I mean, there's it's kind of a cool thing to be able to go and play those kinds of games again. Back in the day.
Is it legal?
Sorry?
Is it legal?
Is what? Abandonware? No. In the grand scheme of things, no, it is not.
Well, it depends. It depends.
Well, here's the thing, though, is that there is that borderline of it's kind of like if you have a trademark or a copyright and you don't enforce it yourself, especially in the trademark realm. You can actually lose if you decide all of a sudden to go after one party or something. I mean, there's actually a really great breakdown of how YouTube has dealt with music and things like that being uploaded to their system, because there's all kinds of ways to deal with copyright in different countries and whatnot. But in North America, it's pretty much the copyright system is broken so badly that like the whole 70, death plus 70. There's a movement right now apparently to try and get copyright down to 20 years after the creation of said copywritten product, to sort of make it in line with patent law. So, but would that ever happen? Would that ever happen?
I don't agree that it should follow patent law. I think copyright is its own creature, and that's stuff that was established more than like. I mean, it operates at statute to. I mean, statutory copyright. I think that's where it's screwed up, and that's ultimately Disney lobbying to extend its reach.
Yeah.
But and then trademark is something else entirely. That doesn't time out the same way that anything else does.
I'm just saying that there have been cases where organizations that have a trademark or a patent, I think it actually as well, that if they register it and if they never ever enforce it or never challenge anyone who's in violation of it, judges apparently look down on that, saying, well, You're going after this one person, but here are the 500 other companies doing it. So yeah,
sure, using or losing. But the other thing to consider as well. When I said that Wolfenstein Enemy Territory was abandonware, I don't mean that
it was never published. You said.
What I'm saying is the company itself, without publishing it commercially, released it to the public and said it's
no, that's totally allowed. I mean that is definitely allowed. But the abandonware collections online
site maybe covers some other things that are a little bit more gray area, is what we're saying.
Exactly. Well, definitely not a gray area at all. It's very, these companies have. I mean, there's stuff on a lot of these abandonware places that are up until 2010. So so there's games on there, but a lot of them you can't find anywhere else. Like one of the a whole bunch of games on here are the Quake series. So you can download Quake and play Quake again, but the companies don't actually sell, or most often they're hard to find. You can't actually buy them legally. So, which is changing a little bit, because I did notice like Battlefield 1942 is on there as a thing you can download, but I just last year acquired it legally through a free giveaway from the publisher. So.
Cool.
It's still a thing. Yeah, Space. Sorry, I just noticed that there was. Sorry, Ryan. I just noticed your comment. Yeah, Space Quest is a bloody great game, and King's Quest as well. Stuff like that. I liked that Sega stuff. Which reminds me, I actually have something for you, Locke. I don't know where it is. It was on my desk, but I'll have to dig it out. But it's a Leisure Suit Larry art book because Leisure Suit Larry had a resurgence a few years ago where they made the original game if they had made it like this, sort of this in the last few years. So it was a great. I haven't played it more than 10 minutes, but it was a great. That was exactly like the original game, except a lot prettier. But I stumbled across this art book, and I thought, that's something Locke would love. So there you go. So yeah, I should have given it to you when you were here last. Actually, I think I even had it last in December, but I didn't think of it. But anyway, but yeah, I mean, the abandonware sites definitely are not providing legal copies of anything. Like it's not. But the copyright holders, do they actually do anything about it? Probably not. I'm sure they're very well aware of these sites existing, but I'm sure they don't have any interest in doing anything about it.
Look, let's put it this way. If I use this site to download and play Battlefield 1942, is whatever company that made Battlefield 1942 gonna care? Are they gonna spend
probably not
hundreds of thousands of dollars on their legal team to take me to court to get me to stop playing a game that's almost 20 years old?
Highly unlikely. I mean, they would never. I mean, here's the thing: they would have to spend money to do that. And are they gonna weigh their? Are we gonna get money out of this dude who's downloaded it and like played with 5 other people? Probably
first of all, they're not going to go after you. They're going to go after the site that's distributing it.
Well, exactly. That is true. That is very true. They would go after them first. Follow the deep pockets, as it were.
And only insofar as that there's money to be recuperated from it. If the site's giving the stuff away for free, then I guess the question you ask is, are they making money from ad revenue? Okay, if they're making money from ad revenue, do we maybe think we deserve some of that money?
I think they are, because I did... they do have what is it? Yeah, I just loaded it up and I went to their about page, and they have these, because I have an ad blocker. They have these little places on the website that are complaining about why I'm blocking their ads. So they are in theory making money. Now, are they making a lot of money? I suspect not. Are they making enough money to cover their server costs and hosting this stuff? Probably not. But again, how popular is abandonware? It's popular, but I don't think it's a huge market, because it does require some technical fiddling to make the games run, because you have to use emulators, you have to use, you know, these kinds of things. So I think ultimately, if the publisher doesn't really care, oh look, somebody's downloading our game, we don't sell anymore, and half of them probably can't get it to work anyway, so would they go after them? Probably, you know. I mean, maybe, I don't know, maybe they would. I'm just saying that it doesn't seem like a logical thing to me.
We downloaded
nobody sues somebody for no money. That doesn't happen.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I mean, if you want an injunctive relief, that injunction would have to be enforced.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you don't know? Okay, so are we going to spend a bunch of money litigating this thing? I don't think we are. That's just you know. But you know, like the more difficult question is, what would happen if somebody came along and was like, "Oh, now there's this community that's formed around this retroware game. Let's make a blockbuster feature film based on that retroware."
Now that would be, I mean, you think of it this way. I mean, companies like Disney, for example, very rarely sue based on people pirating their stuff, their films, generally. And I gather that decision was not made lightly, but it was made sometime like 2005, 2006. Because initially, when BitTorrent became a thing and a technology that people started using, they did sue people, and they found that the negative press they got about it really hurt them more than, you know, the 500 people or 5,000 people that downloaded their
Metallica.
Yeah, exactly. Metallica is the test case child baby of that entire situation, where they went so hard after people stealing music and whatnot and downloading it that they never really recouped anything. I think they won against what was it called? Oh my god, I can't remember the name of it.
Napster.
Napster. But then Napster turned around and became a pay service, which I think still exists today.
Really?
But, well, actually, let me look, because I know Napster did become something. Yeah, it's become, it's basically become like kind of like a Spotify kind of stuff. So, but essentially, I mean, this is the thing, right? It's one of those situations where the technology was so new, no one really knew how to do it. And as much as I want to make fun of Metallica for that period, they were just doing what they thought they should be doing, because...
Oh, look, the problem with Metallica in that period wasn't that as much as it was that fuck-awful movie, Some Kind of Monster, and the fact that their music had sucked consistently for about a decade.
Well, I gotta say that
they're back. They're back. Their music is great again. You know, no problem with what they're doing right
now. Make Metallica great again. I did actually watch that film, and I really want to be that guy that was getting paid all that money every month to like sit around with them and give them advice, where everyone was taking the advice except, was it Lars was like the guy who wasn't, or I've forgotten who the hell was ignoring it. But yeah, that did amuse me. He was getting paid some ridiculous amount, like $40,000 or $50,000 a month, to basically sit around and be like, well, I don't know. I think you guys should. You guys know the answer. Really deep down in your heart, I'm like, what is this guy doing? Why is he here? No wonder everyone hates him by the end. It's like, what was this guy here for in the first place? So yeah, it was ridiculous. But I mean, this is the thing: is that this thing that I watched the other day was referring to how copyright is dealt with in terms of YouTube, where YouTube made a deal many years ago, like a decade ago, with publishers and whatnot that gets renewed all the time, about what do we do when somebody uploads a video that has a clip of your song in it. What kind of thing should we do? And ultimately it just became a thing where if you have music in your video, you upload it to YouTube, and the publisher of that song puts advertisement on your video. In theory, trying to recoup that money. So that's sort of the first level of how they sort of deal with it, and then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and all these kinds of things. But the interesting thing that I found more recently is that it seems to be the same sort of thing for movie production, movie publishers. So I remember, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago being shocked that I could watch Ghostbusters 1 and 2 on YouTube because somebody just uploaded it and it had been there for 5 years. No one had noticed, I guess. I don't know. It was very strange. But, you know, is that the fault of the system? Is it the fault of the publisher, not kind of, you know, the movie company going, hey, or, you know, or maybe it just flew under the radar for a very long time. So I don't know. I think copyright is broken to a certain degree, and it could be made better. And I think that there's definitely a lot of things that should change. I'm not down with the 70-year thing after death. I think it's fine. I think in my mind, copyright should be changed to something like your estate. You say you're an author and you make a bunch of money writing books or whatever, and then you die. I think that should be roughly the end of the copyright, or a couple of years, say 5 years after death. I'm not down to the 70, and the only reason the 70 exists, the Disney, you know, extension as they call it, they should have changed copyright to say, you know what, look, this company owns this image. They should own it as long as that company is in existence. And take it away from the idea that it's the original author's thing, because the original author's been dead since the 70s. You know, let them just continue having Mickey Mouse as a copyrightable thing as long as Disney exists. When Disney goes out of business, then it should automatically get released into the public domain or some sort of, you know, whatever. Should it be transferable? This is the ugly part. Is it could get is it a transferable thing? Like right now, I guess it's in the UK. Popeye the Sailor Man is in the public domain, but that's the only place that he's in the public domain. So that artwork from many eons ago, if you want to throw it on a shirt or somehow make money off of it, then that's, if you're a citizen of the United Kingdom, then you're free to do that. So I don't know. I think it's just really sad that a lot of things don't get thrown into the public domain when they really should. And when that law came in what, 94, 93, somewhere, whatever, Sonny Bono did that whole thing. And then shortly after that went through, a tree leapt up and killed him. I think there really should have been some sort of, I don't know.
Look,
I understand what they were trying to do, but I just think they did it so incredibly wrong.
Intellectual property is bullshit in the first place. That it's just not a concept that's still viable.
I totally agree.
Of mass replication, we can. I mean, the problem with the digital age, and the blessing of it is that you can make 1 million copies and never lose the original of anything, just about. Yeah. And so in an age like that, what's the purpose of copyright? Originally, the concept was that it was intended to incentivize novel and valuable ideas. People going out and generating ideas because they know that they're going to get compensated for that.
Well, exactly.
Everything's massively reproducible. Is a novel idea the most useful thing, or is it just a useful idea is the most useful thing? And how do you weigh a useful idea? Well, ultimately in its use. So the one that gets copied is ultimately valuable for it being copied, not for it being original, right? So I mean, the whole premise in this day and age is potentially flawed. Now, that said, you know, does that mean that I think that if somebody does a painting, then some other fucking asshole should be able to come along and make 1 million copies of that painting and then take all the profits and say, haha, it's my painting? Well, I don't think I agree with that either. So I think there is something to the common law understanding of moral rights, as we call it here in Canada. That's not an American thing. That's a Canada thing. Maybe it gets used in the United States a little bit, but in the U.S. it's all devolved into this fucking statutory environment. And as I've probably beaked off about before, I think statute at best is a bunch of politicians papering over the common law to look like they're actually doing something. And at worst, it's interventionary bullshit from interested parties like Disney.
Yeah, and I agree, because the idea that we should have a remix culture is very important. I think that we have the rights to take an idea, modify it, or allow it to be a springboard to doing something different. And I mean, this is really in the art realm, but I mean, you know what? I'd actually be curious to see what the copyright system is like in China, because China's copyright law. No. China changed their copyright, I don't know, 10 years ago to be 30 days long or something.
China nominally has a copyright system so that they can say, look, see, we have a copyright system, now fuck off.
Well, exactly. I'm not saying it's I'm just saying that they actually made a choice to say, you know what, this is how our copyright law is going to work here. Whether it was because of 30 other reasons that we already know are true, I'm just curious if that was here. If we had short copyrights of as little as that. But again, I mean, China has been doing all kinds of...
If we were operating like China, our military would be making Nike basketball shoes in the middle of the night and selling them as original product. That's how we would be doing it if we were doing it the Chinese way.
I'm merely talking about the time, but yeah, I mean, yes, China has never had a great reputation for the respecting international intellectual property right, but they're a sovereign nation. I guess they can do what they want, really, when it comes down to it. Because we're still the idiots buying it anyway. Why? It's like, oh no, there's knockoffs of all kinds of things. Oh well, I got it real cheap. Look at this. Ha! You open up your trench coat.
You look at people complaining about it, and then you look at the United States, and like what do they build or make anymore? Like nowadays they just cycle money for advertising, for politics, for money, for advertising, for politics. It's a closed loop that never actually touches anything that looks like building or making anything, right? That's why when you drive around the United States, you see rusty bridges with tents under them.
Yeah. I'm just looking at a list of everything going into the public domain this year. And, of all of the things going into the public domain, the original copyright holders all died, of course, in 1949. But then, of course, Canada, I think, is only 50 years, is it not? Shane says, looking at Locke.
I think that's probably true, but
Hey, Ali, Canada's is death though. Plus 50, right? Not 70? Yeah, it is death plus 50.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter though, because anything that's sufficiently valuable for anybody to engage in a serious lawsuit about, they'd probably be doing it in the U.S. anyway.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Day of the Triffids! Day of the Triffids just entered the public domain.
What is it?
Huh.
The original novel, Day of the Triffids. That which got turned into all kinds of really schlock science fiction films, right? I had no idea that was that old, actually, to be honest. Anyway, sorry. But I don't know. It's an interesting thing because I don't think anyone knows how to deal with it at all, and the law at the moment is so entrenched that changing it would be, or even suggesting it should be changed, would be like political suicide. At least I think.
I think the EU, oddly enough, knows how to deal with it.
Well, okay. Let's talk about the EU.
I disagree with them about most things on that particular subject. I think.
Well, talk about it. Talk about it a bit.
The EU have been very highly proactive in recognizing the digital age for the thing that it is. In terms of overreach, in terms of privacy laws, or any of that kind of stuff, they've been very active in ultimately limiting the power of corporations to extend their reach. Right. Now, where all of this starts to get even fussier is in what they call rights of publicity, right? Because I mean that relates to your actual right. Do you have the right to control your public image? And that's where the real frontier is. Yeah. Because it's all very well, we should have copyright extending past people's deaths, but does that mean that once you're dead that somebody can come along and take your identity and use it however they please, or should your close family members have some rights to control what other people do with your identity once you're dead?
Well, especially when you have how long ago was it? They had those Coke, I think it was Coca-Cola commercials where they were bringing back dead celebrities who've been dead for 30 years.
Well, there was that one commercial with Fred Astaire. It was a vacuum cleaner company, I think.
Was it a vacuum cleaner? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was vacuum cleaner. Fred Astaire was like dancing around vacuum cleaner or whatever, cleaning the floor. Like, I mean, obviously Fred Astaire's estate approved that and presumably made a lot of money for it. But yeah, I mean, that's an interesting question. I mean, yeah, I would think that you would have to be entitled to some sort of control over your image past death.
Now,
like you think about commercial applications, and that can be bad, but then you get to the kind of kooky stuff that you get in this new age of YouTube trolling and the like. I mean, suppose you've got somebody who, within the time frame of their own lives, was considered to be a really decent person, but their values don't accord with the values of millennials, let's say. Do the millennials have the right to go and smear their character on the basis of that doesn't accord with the way my values are now? Like, there's stuff like that it could, like, stuff can get ugly fast. What will Bill Cosby be in 100 years? Forgotten, or some sort of weird? What will it be? Like a monster figure?
I think ultimately he'll be a monster figure because of what's I mean, the Me Too movement historically will 100 years from now will definitely be something that is taught. And I think that the poster children will be Weinstein and Cosby. I don't think, for different reasons, where Cosby, I mean, there's definitely similarities, but Cosby drugged people, where Weinstein used his position to be an asshole. So, but of course, those two figures I think will just be side by side. probably discussed, I would think, from different perspectives regarding their specific actions. Where I don't unless Weinstein was a drugger as well, but I don't think so. So I mean, there's definitely going to be things like that that are going to be discussed. Like I suspect those two will probably be the biggest name, not biggest names, because in 100 years no one's going to know who these guys were really. I suspect that Cosby might be known bigger than Weinstein because of his body of work. Will be archived somewhere, I imagine.
Hey.
Yeah, pretty much. Movies that Weinstein was involved in the making of will probably still be around. I mean, in 100 years, who knows? Movies might be beamed directly into our cerebral cortex for all I know. But I think that situations like the Amber Heard thing right now and the Johnny Depp thing, where Johnny Depp last year, the year before, was accused of being some wife beater, and it has been discovered that basically it has now been proved that she was making the whole thing up. So would someone like her become a poster child for somebody who lied about somebody attacking them? I suspect not, but maybe. So those two figures will, I think, overshadow the future. But I think what you said, they'll probably be just depicted as monsters, really, when it comes down to it. But again,
and is that strictly speaking, like, is that something that we're all comfortable with?
Well, I mean,
is Michael Jackson still hot on the dance floor? Do people still play Michael Jackson tracks?
I think so. Yeah, I still do.
Yeah. So what?
I mean, here's the thing, though. The one thing that's going to get forgotten, that's going to get lost in the shuffle, is the context of people being accused of something and not necessarily being proven as having done that something. So
plausible deniability, maybe.
Possibly.
Does anybody really doubt that Michael Jackson was playing with little kids in ways that were highly inappropriate?
I doubt it. I can't say either way. I don't necessarily. Here's the thing: Michael Jackson's been dead for a while, and that thing that came out last year, the documentary that was out that had those two individuals saying that they had been fiddled with and whatnot, but then 40 other children came out. So we hung out there. We never got diddled. What are you talking about? So whether he did or not, to me, doesn't really matter, especially after you're dead. Because what is the catharsis? I guess somebody let's say, for the sake of argument, that they were fiddled with by Jackson. They just wanted to tell their story and say the guy was a creep. So okay, sure, they have the right to do that. But other than that, what are they going to do? There's not somebody to punish. The guy's dead. So
money.
Well, I suppose they could go for money from the estate, but at the same time, does the estate
it's starting to strip back.
Well, exactly. But again, does the estate even exist? Because there's an estate for a while, but once all the money has been distributed to family or whatever, it's dissolved, right? So who knows? And you know what? Quite honestly, if they were diddled, power to them for telling their story, and hopefully they'll get the right therapy they need or whatever it is. But ultimately, does it make a difference? No, I don't think so, because the individuals are long gone. And that's what I mean by, Weinstein and Cosby in 100 years. I mean, I always say, in 100 years, who's going to care? And really, there are not going to be very many people. I mean, you know where I got that from, Alan. But,
Who's got the burly beef?
Exactly. But yeah, but seriously, in 100 years, who is really going to care? And it's going to be probably those two, and maybe some other footnotes of the Me Too people involved in the Me Too movement. I mean, and the reason I think this way is Occupy Wall Street. Occupy Wall Street was a big deal for like 5 minutes. Will it be a footnote in history? Sure. But will it be a big one? Not really. Because I think that the Occupy Wall Street was a movement that needed to happen, so the people that wanted to voice their opinions about it had a chance to do that in a public forum. But did anything change? Did it actually impact anything? No, it didn't. There's no long-term... Okay, there's no long-term effect that I am aware of that something like Occupy Wall Street made. Maybe there were small changes here and there, sure. But ultimately, in the grand scheme of things,
that was less of something that was actively making changes, and more something that was reacting to 2008. And so there.
Well, this is my point. Like 2008 will be the historical footnote, and then Occupy Wall Street will just kind of shuffled underneath it. It's like, oh yeah, so this really terrible thing happened because banks were being dicks. And all these people suffered, and they complained about it for a while. Then they all eventually went home and continued on with their lives. So, I mean, it's in my thought, it's pretty harsh to think that way. But at the same time, I always say that if we really want to make a huge change in anything, do what we're doing now. But let's say there's no pandemic. But everyone said, you know what? Screw it. We're staying home. And what are companies in the economy going to do? Are they going to force people to go to work? I'm saying that if companies were like, oh, well, our employees are being dicks and they all went home, well, we're going to hire some new ones. Pretend there's no one else to hire. Pretend that no one has actually made the conscious choice, say, you know what, we want change, whatever that change is. And to get there, doing nothing, bringing the economy to a halt. I mean, that could happen in theory. It's happened in history, where people just basically said, you know what, we don't like you anymore. There might have been some guillotines involved, but
that's not realistic. Okay, the only way you're going to get to do that is if you eliminate the economy. If you eliminate money, go to a like in Star Trek.
Let me guess. They don't have any money in the future. Well, we don't.
Yeah, they're all living in tents under bridges.
But, I mean, well, here's the thing. I mean, he's referring to, of course, First Contact Day, which in 2063 in Star Trek's timeline of whatever, Vulcans show up because we build a warp-capable rocket. So they show up, and if you have read the Star Trek timeline, which I'm a nerd, and I have, 50 years after that, so by 2113 or something, poverty has been eliminated. Homelessness is gone. Like, everything has been fixed because basically the humanity thought, oh geez, who are these dudes with the pointy ears? That's kind of more important than what we're talking about over here. So all of these things are not, they're not fixed. They're not saying that people aren't still unhappy, but the ability for someone to go without is gone. So, probably they gave us replicators or something. Who knows? So,
so at any point there is no money.
Yeah, so they get rid of the economy. They get rid of that.
And yet somehow not social, and somehow social still totally going on because not everybody's the captain of a ship.
Not as captain of the ship. Well, hey, I mean, why do they have gold pressed latinum? I mean, come on. There's still an economy out there, but within the Federation, there's nothing. I mean, actually, it's talked about in Star Wars. Was it galactic credits? I think is what they call them, or something. They have galactic credits, but certain places are like, we don't take galactic credits. I'm sorry, get out of here.
It's not real.
Exactly. Then there's like Battlestar Galactica, the original series, not the new one. Or new one, which, by the way, if you were a Battlestar Galactica fan, they're making yet another series. I do not know why. So, where their entire existence is wiped out in the first episode of Battlestar Galactica, the second episode, they're at a casino planet with what was the money called? Qubits or something like that. So it just means that no matter how big the Federation got, there's always going to be some sort of economy somewhere. So I don't know. I don't know. It's a thing that I think could happen. Definitely not in our lifetime. But could there be a planet Earth without an economy based on the handing over of paper or digital money? Could we actually work together to forward the human race?
I think actually,
yeah, but none of that's relevant, because in every scenario, you're still going to get some people will still be on top and some people will still be on the bottom. That's not going to change. That isn't something that the economy has done.
I wasn't saying I was going to eliminate the class system. No way. I mean, look at actually the Occupy Wall Street thing. The most fascinating thing that I remember reading about it was the Occupy Wall Street. There was supposed to be this. They were always portrayed in the news as this sort of united front, that all these people were working together to change Wall Street or whatever the reason. To be honest, I have no idea what the hell they were trying to do. But they were fractured in such a way, like any large organization like that, you have smaller groups inside of that organization, or at least being branded as a member of that organization. There was basically a cabal of a bunch of people that had chosen a particular bank's lobby to do their work in, and they were adamant that the people outside were a bunch of idiots and morons and really should just stay outside and do that, while they stayed inside and made the big pants wearing people choices. So yes, I'm not saying that's going to be eliminated. There's always going to be that crap going on. We're humans. This is our nature. Some people are interested in running the world, and some people are just interested in being like, I'm going to go live in the woods, and I don't care what you guys do, and I'm going to live off the land, and that's what I'm going to do. So I don't know why I think the glasses will make me feel like I'm a land living person, but there you go. But I think that I definitely should rule the world.
Alan's being cued into that early. They make a person more than other people for sure. No.
Alan, I think, should be made Darth Vader, and he should rule the world. And Locke should be Emperor Palpatine.
oh. So speaking of Darth Vader, so Shane, on our Wednesday show at the end, after we cut off, showed us this thing called Snap Cam.
Oh, is there a Darth Vader helmet now?
There is a Darth Vader thing, and man, it looks so good.
I was actually looking at the software. I actually installed it and was tinkering with it the other day. The software that's used to make those things. And the first thing I was testing out was I downloaded a freely... a guy made it, gave it away for nothing, a 3D model of the Mandalorian's helmet. So I was tinkering with that, seeing if I could get it to work. But I have a learning curve to get over first before I understand how that all works. But you were here on Wednesday, were you not, Locke? You saw you saw me being a potato. Yeah, there you go. So basically, yeah, there's definitely...
That was very bent.
It's very strange, but at the same time, I mean, it's Snapchat, right? So, but it's very interesting how the software actually functions, where it's able to... it has machine learning based head tracking, things of this nature. It's a very... For a cute little gimmick, the technology is actually surprisingly interesting, where it's not just some sort of, you drag something in and you actually have to do very little. There's actually a lot of art that goes into it. You have to pay attention to what lighting does. You have to pay attention to what, that's why a lot of these things you're seeing in that software's library of different effects that you can have on your webcam's head or whatever. are very simple, and that there's so few, cool things like Darth Vader's helmet. Like that would have taken a bit of doing to make it work. But there's a lot of stuff going on with lighting, which I thought was really cool, where you could actually adjust it so that there's some interesting effects going on, and to make things as real as possible. But anyway, yeah, sorry, I'm just nerding out on it a little bit, but it's very cool. I don't know if I'll
turn to the side for a second.
Oh, he's tinkering. No, I know exactly what he's doing.
Well, I'm gonna try.
I've actually, quite honestly, I don't remember why it doesn't kick off right away. There's a reason for it, though.
It may not work.
For me, it's easier because I have like 3 webcams attached to my computer, so I can assign, like, Snap is running in the background, and I know that's happening because one of my cameras is still active. But it's just a cool thing. But at the same time, there's all kinds of things you could do with that technology that would be interesting. And is the Snap camera application going to do those cool things? No, it's a toy. But it is a learning curve type of toy where you could actually make your own thing.
Backgrounds, and actually, it was like, even though I don't have like a solid background behind me here, it was actually pretty accurate.
Yeah, like, the face recognition part of it is able to determine where your head is. I mean, the lighting has to be reasonable. Like Locke making his background, it might blur out the sides of his head that are in shadow, stuff like that. I've actually been thinking about, just the past few days, I've been thinking about, maybe I should get a chroma key background and get some, like a blue or a green or whatever, and just do that and try and just mess around with it, see what I could do. But
I was thinking about doing that for tonight, and then I forgot.
Well, the fascinating thing is I've been thinking for a while that you can get some, because I have right behind my desk, I have this line that's this tension line that goes across under, so I can actually drape something behind me. So I thought if I get like a big huge blanket, really, that's a decent color shade, then I could probably pull it off. But anyway,
I don't have that. I can figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, but again, you could buy something off Amazon, but you won't get it till May.
Yeah. Maybe I'll order some toilet paper with it.
Actually, somebody was posting toilet paper orders from Amazon, and they were showing you how the toilet paper roll inside of a standard, the round thing you've been used to since you were a child, hasn't really changed in size that much when you buy it at your local store. But the toilet paper rolls you buy on Amazon, it's like more than double the size. So you get like, a third of the paper on the roll, which I thought was hilarious. And Amazon must be just walking away going, what are they going to do, complain and send it back? But yeah. Well, we've actually... Sorry?
One of the more distressing things that I've encountered in Toronto, I saw it over the last summer. There's a cafe, I think it's on Bloor, dedicated to the poop emoji.
What?
You know the poop emoji?
Yeah, I know it.
Yeah.
There's a poop emoji themed cafe.
Wow.
I hope the health inspector takes it.
Yeah. Now, here's what brought that thought up. Is there currently, because I believe that there will be a toilet paper emoji.
There must be.
Do you know how to design new emojis? Can you what's involved in floating an emoji to the world?
That's a good question. I mean, basically, they are things that get put into a library of emoji. I mean, you can create your own custom ones, obviously, but to have them included in a common library of emojis is not impossible, but it takes a bit of time, I think.
I feel like in the next couple of months, we are going to see a toilet paper emoji.
I would not. Yeah, it probably would be.
Toilet paper emoji coming. You heard it here first.
You heard it here first. It's going to happen. But guys, we've been streaming for like an hour and a half, so
Okay.
Really?
I think it's time for Locke to go to bed. But yeah, and I'm my brain's turning off. So, but thank you everyone who was watching. We had a bunch of people watching tonight, and Ryan, thanks for commenting, man. I didn't comment back to you because Alan's a jerk. So, in your face. But yeah, we'll be back here on Wednesday as usual with a beer in hand. I hope I can get to a liquor store that has beer in it. That's not just the stuff I've been drinking lately. And share if you like what we're doing. Tell people about it. Basically, it. That's all we really want. So
that is my order to arrive on Wednesday.
Yes, hopefully you'll get there beforehand. All right, thanks guys for being here, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye! How does this thing turn off? I don't know!